Good evening from New York. Tonight's message is things Jesus preached about your inner self, society, and MAGA opposes. There's this rise of Christian nationalism. How they think there's a unity between Christians in the first place is a little surprising, considering how when they were fleeing from Europe, when they were fleeing from Europe, they were fleeing from persecution by other Christian groups. Sometimes they were killing each other over whether you should baptize a baby or not, whether you should sprinkle or dunk a person under the water for baptism. There's not all of this agreement, and everybody's, kumbaya, we're all the same. You have big differences in your camp, and you were acting very unchristianly when you came over to this country, and you were still trying to press, when you got here, other people that disagreed with you. That's one of the reasons why we had separation, church and state, you see, which MAGA opposes. And so they let you have any faith you want, just don't run around persecute other people who don't share your belief. So that seems to be a routine thing going on. I'd point out that Jesus didn't go around twisting people's arms to get them to believe and believe or help. He could have supposedly, if he were God, which not all Christians agree to, by the way, even from the beginning. They didn't, even if you thought that, well, in that case, he could have shown them people suffering, have a vision of it, which, frankly, wouldn't prove anything anyway. If you had a vision, maybe you thought he induced an illusion. But, frightening people into being better people. How moral is a person who is only good because they're afraid not? That's a barb that I find in many religious belief systems, is this idea of, in order to be good, that little flawed. Morals don't depend on a religion. Naturally present as we learn the skills of empathy, which is kind of a natural thing that happens in order to function well in society and preserve the species. And you hear them railing. Some of these Christians, these evangelicals railing. Socialism. Really, whether you agree with socialism or not, Jesus was a socialist. What did he say to the rich young man, loved his money so much? Give up what you've got and share with the poor. And then you can follow. Well, you could say, well, that was an exception because this guy loved the wealth. He didn't love it so much he could have kept. You really believe that? Okay. First church had everything in common. For what reason? So that nobody would have to do without. You know, means that certain basic needs needed to be fed. And socialism didn't seem to bother them. Gave up everything they had. And knowing this, Ananias and Sapphira joined. They were asked, first Ananias, did you sell everything you had and share it? Did you do that? He said, yes. And supposedly he was struck dead by the Holy Spirit because he had about it. And what was told him is, well, you didn't have to join us and do that. You could have kept all you had. Now, why? Well, Seth, his wife Sapphira, not knowing what happened to old Ananias, came in with the same story. It was told her, yeah, her husband gave the same lie, and the people who came in to drag his body out are coming in for you. And and you can think, well, they probably didn't. Well, whether it did or not, it kind of shows that Jesus taught socialism. And, so, I agree or disagree with socialism. Democratic socialism. But trade is kind of complex. So it seems that the best nations, the people who handle human nature the best. Human nature isn't all about greed. Because self-sacrificing things that people do. Forms of empathy. We think of other people, not just ourselves. We think of other families, not just. We think about the world and other nations, not just our own. Funny thing is that when you give in that, you have what I call the love flow. And the giving and the receiving through these forms of empathy that value human beings and their dignity produce the best in people. Abject poverty doesn't seem to be the very best. It can create desperation, desperate act. Which lack of education, feeling that you belong, which grows your empathy, that can produce some pretty bad results. Bad action. In the past, about this in the Chinese history, when a ruling class owned everything, terribly unkind people, and this was a regular thing, pretty much like ape-like behavior to me. Human beings exhibit routinely. The way this was fixed in the minds of the people was, you hurt a the vast majority of people that did. And one very hungry and starving. What happened was, off with their heads. Somebody else rises up, stirs them up, gets them going. And these particular people who had all this wealth, all of this power, found themselves in very bad and fake. It's more gruesome. Sang, shouted the lady in the movie about the French Revolution. Off with their head. Yeah. Well, why was that happening? This tendency to be greedy. Where does that come from? And I'm not trying to change the subject here. Where does that come from? Greed. And where does greed come from? And greed on the part of the queen. Her head chopped off. For others as well, I'm sure. But where does that greed come from? Well, Jesus also said something that MAGA seems to, and that's that the root of all evil, the love of money. And what is money? Money is symbolic need. Damaged faith and love creates a traumatic experience in which it becomes painful to even recognize what your needs were because you were so helpless and the anxiety from that was so intense. You had to shut down a real attachment to your needs and to comfort you, your brain, not an act of will, but your brain creates a symbolic, more attainable thing, which is not something that has a satiation point. Not like I've had a full meal, I'm full now. There's never a point, or points where the person goes, well, gee, that's enough. I've got all I need. Yeah, those kind of experiences push, the major push behind greed as well. It's the love of symbolic and even great evil can come from this. If you have an experience that's just really helpless, the only symbolic circumstance brain could see would be to identify with the oppressor. Very problem. And with other kinds of symbolic, very twisted things. So, I isn't following good things that one thing to remember, love is really and truly a higher power. It's something well that is a force that ultimately does is great poet. Martin Luther King Jr. had a vision. he also, which is beautiful, and he also said that he was against the punishing attitude, which the MAGA people are very much for, saying that with an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, pretty soon everybody's at least partially blind, and if not blind, and missing most of their teeth, not all. So, punishing attitudes. And so, the other thing he pointed out was something that Jesus said, give and it will be given to you. If you give to the lawful, going to have that ripple effect, good ripple effect. The cancer is negative ripple, more than the sort of thing. And yeah. So following the advice of Jesus, if they were to do that, like not be. Jesus said that what's understand you don't pick raspberries from corn bushes. That's you consider the source. You can't, and at the same time, forgive those trespass against. Forgive those who trespass. Forgive me my trespasses. I forgive those who trespass me. That doesn't seem to be a prevalent thing. That the MAGA follow. So, what's the list? Jesus was a subject. And MAGA want this rugged kind of capital. Actually provides social comfort. Rich, hardcore, difficult, harsh capitalism. Where the rich are doing all the taking, it's greedy. And not all. Some would like to share enough to make sure that children don't go hungry, and some just don't care. And corporations definitely don't care. So that's something to consider. Monopolies also care the better functioning. So let's see. Is there anything else that Jesus had to say that I remember that MAGA doesn't opposes it? Tell the truth. And yeah, it's I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Oh, okay, what does that mean? You follow the love flow. Things work for you. They work better for you. And even if you suffered horribly in your pursuit to the love flow, there's a kind of bliss that you can experience, a kind of joy. From association with your inner heart, imaginer of all you imagine, and loves the story, the movie of your life, holds you to be the hero in that story or movie. And you can do that without any religious belief system at all. And you can do that with people of any belief system who agree with increasing empathy, awareness as achievable and worthwhile goal. Yeah. Jesus said a lot of beautiful things. The crowd don't seem to go along with it. It's yeah. Jesus also pointed out that he didn't talk about people who were living uncaring lifestyles that weren't people that were hurting, suffered from the damage back. He sat at the table with them who were damaged. Done bad sorts of things because of their way. And it was, some of the religious community came by and tried to put him down for this. How did he refer to these folks? And he just put it this way. No, it's the sick who have been physician and healthier. So even in his day, without doing a human sacrifice, he said he was saying some people and that the people who did wrong. So the Buddha referred to people who kind of lost the way as being, and kind of talking about a kind of self-centered way here too. That's a complex issue. Yeah, sometimes you have to tread the path, and the reasons for it, to some degree, it could be plain enough that you will really consider it. Now, there would be very, very few people who can ever right off the bat but we can always have hope that there will be enough people who are Christ-like, healthy enough, any of the great mystics to proclaim, hey, there's somebody who's really for the love. Um, True. Um, there are some are understanding all of these things. Not necessarily talk about supernatural things to have a spiritual life or to make supernatural claims. Anything that, if you want to have the experience of being in the love flow, there's some clear and usable ways to get there. And someone who's failed doesn't mean they're being was just or that they're at fault. When he healed supposedly a blind, people were going, "Who sinned? Who was at fault?" This guy can't himself, something like that. Jesus said, "Well, nobody," just so that the glory of God could be exhibited, something like that. What is the glory of God? Well, it's promotion of the love of God. And that's valid regardless of whether you believe in some kind of personal God or not. And can you have a relationship with a sense of power that's very personal and very serious and elevated? Yes. In your own inner self, you imagine things to that, your feeling self, in relationship to your inner heart. Yes. So, what did Jesus preach about the inner self? And what you do wrong or what you suffer from isn't necessarily fact. What is your fault is to not follow the path, not to come to grips with your damaged faith and love, heal it, so that you can recognize through the symbolic struggles real needs which are, and grieve them all, let it go so that you can better forgive. After being a little better, forgiven, be a lot better at being remorseful, the way that hurting you hurt others. Remorseful in a way that changes your life and helps you be born. I'm not preaching a religion, telling anybody what to believe about. Not, I have a problem with things to be tainted with, which is punishing attitude, create virtue, very counterproductive. What else did Jesus teach? He taught about bringing people together. Not just about your own inner self. It's however you define that. But it's it's about being in a loved one. I'm going tired. Oh, grandma, ears getting. I might be a bit sleepy, but I tell you what, Joe Biden isn't. He's on top of the State of the Union. You know, he did a good job in that State of the Union. You know, and anybody thinking he was sleepy and not on the ball was, especially compared to Trump. You know, it's you're in fantasy land. One individual that I mentioned that came back with, well, how do you account for that? He's sleepy, Joe. He says, oh, that was all AI produced. That the extents people go to support the symbolic comforts that can be quite irrational. Yeah. So, some of when you're dealing with damaged faith and love, you have this illusory cover up of your past. You're not really looking at it as you might be totally ignorant. Oh, I had a wonderful childhood. It was so perfect. It was wonderful. I was so happy. One of the first dead giveaways, someone saying that, probably one of the lesser experiences, damaged experiences. They're desperately covering over. This world doesn't lend itself perfect. Yeah, it certainly does not. So, the inner self. Jesus talks about your inner self in this one. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Anyone will invite me in. I will have dinner. We'll eat fast bread. Think of that as symbolic of your own inner artist. You open the door, imaginer of all you might. Higher power of your inner artist. Bread. You can have quite a close relationship. And can you verbalize it? Yeah. How would you imagine a very caring, compassionate person with sympathetic skills and who very much loves you and everyone, uh, lives in a state above the dramatic experience of your life, which is your timeline. So lives in a space without time and in a place where everything is enjoyable, like moving, keeping a kind of parent, still caring about you, and has the ability to create experiences. Jesus says, open the door. Come on, open the door. Promise you, we'll be good. Well, your very best friend is your inner artist. If it's more than that, oh, hallelujah. I doubt you'll find any evidence that can be illusory. Something's truly supernatural. There's nothing to support it. Actual argument. Supernatural, that which is not adherent to natural law, doesn't have an association with the experience. You're not going to find any proof of that, but you can experience them out. The night Dr. Martin Jr., Nelson Mandela, you can be at the top of the vision. It's your life. There's your hero of love, moving the story of your life. Now, these aren't perfect videos. Well, I hope it's been entertaining for you. And I'll give you my traditional Irish. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. Rain fall soft upon your field. Till we meet again. May God hold you in the palm of his hand, or her hand, or its hand. The absolute truth. Probably won't. Yeah. But, as the great mystic Jesus said, you've seen me, you've seen the Father. In a way, you're the love flow. You're in the love flow. To some degree, you're touch. Rules the universe. Part by allowing everything that exists to have a chance. That means not a whole lot of absolute perfection going. But step into the vision of your art. Hold your heart. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel. Join the team that wants to advance empathy and awareness, not just within ourselves, but within society itself. It's a impressive activist. Organizing with other people. Do the right. So, you know, if you go within, find that vision, how can you not act upon it? I would say that would be very hard to do. As I like to say, oh yeah, and thank you to one of our subscribers, great fan of the channel. So, on a journey. Thank you very much. You will be finding an increasing improvement of this channel. The Zoom coming. Zoom leader is no longer on vacation. I have to find the time to do a Zoom. If you are subscribed to the channel, you, especially if you're commenting, sharing videos and so on, giving likes, you'll be invited to be a voice of empathy and awareness. That appeals to you, then please, right? I like to say at the end of the phrase, it's a statement, something you say when you meet someone to honor the love flow in the person, and yourself and the other person, and the acknowledgement that we're all a part of the circle universe knowing itself. That word is namaste. A great day today. Part of the love flow. Give and you shall receive. Namaste.